We are just past Christmas Day, and NBA standings are starting to take shape as teams have played anywhere from 29 to 32 games. So what does that mean for bettors looking to place some future bets before the halfway point of the season? We're going to take a look at the Hoops futures bets market. We're going to do it with a contributor to the Action Network, my guy, Bryan Fonseca. Bryan, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well.
Doing
very
good?
well.
Enjoying this basketball season? Enjoying these bets, I hope?
Yeah, lately, the day of reckoning in boxing didn't go as planned, but
Oh, it did not.
we rebounded with a couple of a Pistons cover the other night against the Nets, which I was all over. Thank you to the Nets for going 1 for 6 from the free throw line. Appreciate it.
There you go. You got the cover, but the Pistons still can't win. That's a whole nother story there. We're going to talk about futures bets here. And Bryan, one of the most popular futures bets is which team is going to win the NBA championship. The Celtics, they currently have the best record in the league with 23 wins. The Nuggets and Timberwolves and the Bucks, they all have 22 wins. So right now, who is your best bet to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June?
I don't trust anybody, basically. Anybody, right? And for me, I just think it's more interesting this year because the NBA is a parity league now, and you have a lot of teams that have flaws, that you don't know what's going to happen. I trust the Denver Nuggets, and that's really it. So I'm just going to go with Nikola Jokic and, Jamal Murray and the championship experience that they sort of established last year. Because for now, and I'm not saying to place a future bet on them either, because the value is just going to remain kind of where it is. It may get better as Denver, sort of goes back. Maybe it goes forward, and then whatever the case may be. But I just think with Denver Nuggets, they're the team to trust because they just did it, and Nikola Jokic is still the best player on the planet. There are other teams I would look at as maybe long shots, but I don't think this is the best time to bet Boston. I don't think this is the best time to bet Milwaukee. I don't think this is the best time to bet some of the other contenders that you may be looking at over the course of the season. I think this is a time that you want to look at teams who are potential long shots because you have to bet on organizations that you think are going to go for it within the next 6 to 8 months because the trade deadline is coming up in February.
Right.
Who's going to make a win now move? Which teams are going to decide to blow it up? But other than that, I think Denver is the team you got to trust.
All right, Denver's the team you have to trust right now in terms of winning the championship. But let's talk league MVP. You just mentioned Nikola Jokic saying that he's the best player in the world. Joel Embiid, though, he's been balling. He won MVP last year. Jokic, as you mentioned, still posting MVP-like numbers. Is throwing some dollars behind Embiid to win back-to-back MVPs the best play here? Or at this point, would you go with another player? Or is this in Jokic I trust once again?
I mean, it's plus 150 for Joel Embiid, so that's not something that really moves me because you're looking at an odds shift that's really in his favor, and I don't think that's a smart bet because what if he gets hurt? What if he regresses a little bit? You could buy back in later. I think the guy that I would look at is Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is plus 650, and we saw what he did on Christmas Day against the Phoenix Suns. He's tremendous. He's one of the best players in the world, and let's be real, dudes have been trying to give him the MVP for a few years now. Luka Doncic has entered as one of the favorites to win this award a few different times. And he did again before this season. I think Luka Doncic is somebody you could look at to put your money on. I think with Dallas, though, they're 18-12 as of this recording. They're top 4 in the Western Conference or tied for 4th right now. I think they have to stay in that top 4. That's not something I'm convinced they could do. But in terms of betting on organizations to do something, I think Dallas is a team that can do something between now and February, and we could see them sort of make that leap as a true contender. And if they get into that top 4 by the season's end, then I think Luka Doncic is somebody who can win the MVP.
All right, so keep your eye on Luka Doncic. Also look at what he's doing now. He's doing a lot of this without Kyrie Irving playing, been leading his team playing at a very high level. So a lot of good value there. You said plus 650. Bettors have to like that. Now, another race that I like, Sixth Man of the Year. Very intriguing one here because there's some interesting candidates. Austin Reeves of the Lakers, once he made his move to the bench, he's looking like the favorite right now. Is this one of the awards where you want to wait a little bit and see, or is there a player right now that you think has value that you would strike on at this moment?
I mostly want to wait and see. I think that Austin Reeves is someone you look at for this award because, speaking of dudes that they're trying to get awards to, Austin Reeves was one of the favorites for most improved going into the season. We learned that he was going to be the 6th man on this team, and he's somebody who can win this award. And he's been great in his defense. Like, he's been absolutely fantastic for this Lakers team, who needs answers beyond LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell is inconsistent, Rui Hachimura, is he really going to give you enough? Gabe Vincent's been hurt. I think Austin Reeves is sort of the third best dude on this team, and he showed that in the playoffs because when you looked at that playoff run that they had to the Western Conference Finals, LeBron James is deferring to Austin Reeves down the stretch. LeBron James is like, here, Austin Reeves, create some shots in the fourth quarter so I can take a break because I'm nearly 40 years old and I need to chill for a little bit. And I think Austin Reeves is somebody you have to look at to win this award potentially, right? I think as a long shot, though, Naz Reid is interesting because he is on what is so far, a great regular season team with the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are first in the Western Conference. Naz Reid can be a little bit inconsistent, but I think his price is only going to get better, well, shorter for bettors out there. And I think that Naz Reid at plus 3,000 now, this is probably the best you're going to find it because as Minnesota sort of remains up there, and I do think that they're going to be a good regular season team at least, I think Naz Reid is somebody you have to look at as a long shot who is realistically a contender for this award.
All right, plus 3,000 on Naz Reid. Some good odds right there. Should be a good one. Okay, this next one. This is one of my favorite to discuss with you here because the Most Improved Player Award, and there's a lot of, and I know your criteria for this, right? Yeah. You don't want any top picks that got there to get the award if they had a leap and improvement in their game.
Yeah.
But which player in your eyes has shown the most improvement this season and you think is the best bet to win this award?
Well, thankfully, it doesn't look like we're going to have that problem.
Right, the problem doesn't exist.
Right. It's not going to be John Morant who, he was a star, now he's a superstar. This is what happens to the Most Improved Player. It's become one of my least favorite awards almost because they just make it a star crowning award. Like, here, Brandon Ingram, in your fourth year, you're the Most Improved Player, even though you were the second overall pick just 4 years ago as opposed to somebody else. But Tyrese Maxey is the guy this year because he's actually a minus favorite at this point, kind of running away with this award. He is legitimately making the jump from a really good player to a star who could be a perennial all-star in the Eastern Conference where there are a lot of good guards, but Tyrese Maxey looks like a real co-star and a real running mate to Joel Embiid. And also is somebody that I look at the Philadelphia Sixers in a playoff series, and I'm not worried about Tyrese Maxey. I've seen what he's done against other teams in games that he's had against the Celtics, against the Heat in particular. So I think Tyrese Maxey is the guy you have to look at. I think Alperen Sengun is somebody who's interesting as a contender for this award also for the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets got off to a fast start, but they can't really win on the road consistently, so that's really hurting them. But Alperen Sengun, I think, is going to be an all-star, and he wasn't previously, so he's somebody you have to look at because that's kind of the criteria, at least it is to the NBA voters. Who was somebody that wasn't an all-star, now they were, or who's somebody that was an all-star already and is a superstar now? I think those are the two guys this year. I think we're going to actually get it right this year, and it's going to be Tyrese Maxey.
All right, rocking with Maxey on this one. Yeah, minus odds. He's a runaway favorite right now for that award. Okay, Bryan, we talked about this with Minnesota. We talked about this off camera, but Defensive Player of the Year award. And this is an award, and Bryan's signed here because of what I'm going to say. This is an award that traditionally goes to big men. So, would you throw some dollars on a big to win this award, or is there a wing player guard that you're eyeing for DPOY this year?
I forget the number exactly, but it's been almost all centers since like 2003 or something along those lines. It's been, there's a Kawhi Leonard somewhere along the line, there's a Ron Artest, but for the most part, it's usually centers and it's usually guys who stay in the paint. Rudy Gobert, guess what? He's the favorite again because all of a sudden he's doing what he kind of did last year, just doing it at a higher level, and Minnesota's better because they are great defensively. I don't know how much credit they're giving to Jaden McDaniels for that or Anthony Edwards, some of the other guys, but Rudy Gobert, who stands in the paint and locks down the paint, as well as any other center in the NBA, this is sort of the criteria for the award now. Even though I would look at Bam Adebayo, I don't know if he's going to get the award. I don't know if he's a real contender for the award, but I do know that he's the only player in the NBA who's been top 5 in voting for each of the last 4 years. And to me, he's the best defensive player in the NBA because of the switchability, versatility. You yourself, Dexter, have heard me say this before a number of different times. We've talked about this. Yeah. But with Rudy Gobert, I know we love giving Defensive Player of the Year to dudes who can come here, and then they can go here, and they can just guard their area. But Bam does it all, and I think he's the guy to look at other than Rudy Gobert in terms of true value. I think he's plus 2,500, plus 3,000.
I saw as high as plus 3,000.
You know, I think the Heat need to be higher ranked defensively, and they took a little bit of a hit because Bam Adebayo was out, but he still qualifies for the award. And I think if the Heat can get a top 4 finish, it's going to be probably a Bam Gobert contest, but I think Bam is probably destined to lose that because the media is just going to give it to Rudy Gobert.
Oh, here we go. If you know anything about Bryan, you know that he is rooting for Bam Adebayo to win this award. If you know, you know. That's all I'll say there. Okay, last thing for me here, because I think when we talk about futures bets and we're looking at them, some people are looking for some value, looking for some long shot value here.
Yes.
Are there any long shot futures bets that you like right now that you think bettors can get great value on at this moment?
Well, going back to not trusting anybody, there are a lot of flawed teams in the NBA. I think each conference is sort of waiting for somebody to take a jump. You could look at the Heat, you could look at the Knicks, you could look at the Pacers in the Eastern Conference, perhaps the Orlando Magic. Are any of those teams going to do something to potentially launch themselves into real contendership? I think the Heat are already there, but like to solidify themselves. And those other teams, the Knicks especially losing Mitchell Robinson, are they going to pivot and do something to sort of make that jump? In the Western Conference, I think it's even more flawed because in the East, you at least have the Celtics, the Bucks. In the Western Conference, you have Denver, and who do you really trust after that? The opening is on the Memphis Grizzlies to sort of come through and crash this party, I think with Ja Morant returning, and we're seeing them look pretty good with Ja Morant back. I still think that they have to do something in terms of making moves, but I never believed that they were going to blow up this core. I never believed that they were going to go totally sideways when Ja Morant was coming back. I thought that they would redeem themselves a little bit, and they have. I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're a team that I would look at to at least come out of the Western Conference. Right now, that price point is plus 5,000 to just win the West. I don't think that they're going to do it because I would still favor Denver, but why not even put just $1 on it to potentially win 50? I think Ja Morant really changes the dynamic of the team and how the organization feels. And in terms of banking on an organization that can make a move between now and February, Memphis has to be near the top of the list because they know that this window is now. And with Ja Morant, with Desmond Bane, with Jarrett Jackson Jr., I think those are the guys you have to really look at as sort of pushing this team to the next level. But that supporting cast could use some work. I think Memphis knows that. And they're a team that could potentially give anyone problems in the Western Conference because of that talent. And if they fortify that depth a little bit because they're without Brandon Clark for now, they're without Steven Adams for the season, I think they're a team that can give other teams in the Western Conference some problems.
Yeah, and that's a good point, too. They're getting Brandon Clark back. Should be in February. That could be huge for them in terms of reinforcements. Can they get a little deeper? They're dangerous. They're playing good right now, 4-0 since Ja Morant has returned to the court, looking really good. All right, there we go. We're talking some futures bets. I felt like it was a good time to check in. You know, we just got past Christmas. It's a good time to look at it because people are still looking for some futures bets to get some value. That is Bryan Fonseca, contributor for the Action Network, one of the best in terms of breaking down the bets, also rooting for Bam Adebayo to win that Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, Bryan, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right.